And speaking of replenishing, I want to bring to you this sister who, literally a sister, who comes to us with not only a gift and passion of empowering communities, but believes in being in social change and transformation itself, and the power of hearts to heal and unite. Erika Ewing, who is a Baltimore, Maryland person, raised in Westbury, New York.
Yeah.
But a proud Harlemite.
Yeah. I'm by state.
For over 20. All right, by state. Never heard that term.
By state.
Your roots date back, which is excellent, to your grandmama.
Yeah, in Harlem.
Lucille Kelly. But, you know, the thing that I am always intrigued by Erika is her passion to not give up. She started Got To Stop LLC, which is a social impact fashion and consulting company, in 2018. And Got To Stop LLC is a social impact consulting company and fashion lifestyle brand that uses the arts, advocacy, and education to raise awareness and eradicate injustice. So Erika, who went to Rutgers as well, and that's what's up, and you're receiving the 2019 Laura J. Banks Social Service Advocate Community Activist Award.
Yes.
Congratulations.
But more importantly, you are doing what you're doing. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I just want to introduce you to Erika Lucille Ewing.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome.
So, yeah, I'm by state. So I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, stayed there for 7 months of my life. And then
All that time.
I say we landed in Westbury, Long Island. And so I grew up there. From there, I was always back and forth to Harlem. My grandmother lived in Harlem, was an entrepreneur, had a brownstone. We had a very colorful life, colorful backdrop in Harlem, definitely 70s to the 90s.
Wow.
And was going to church in Harlem. Okay, so I went to church in Harlem. I had all the friends in Harlem.
Got your roots?
Yeah, I thought I was, I was the cool one. I didn't mess with those Long Island people. But Long Island did me really well in a lot of ways. I still have childhood friends there. But I went on college, Smith College, undergrad, all women's college, and so I was always doing social justice. I started doing community service since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
So my mom is basically a justice warrior. And so she had me in things of, like, we were dancing at the Juvenile Delinquent Center at 4 years old.
Wow.
Every Christmas with the Negro Business Professional Women's Club. And so I did a lot of that as a youth. And so as I started to work and read and study, I knew something was missing. I think I knew something was missing when I found out that the Constitution was written and we weren't even written in, right? It didn't include us, right?
Not as human beings anyway.
Not as human beings, right? 3/4 of a person, right? And women and children at that were just, property. And at that point, that's when I started saying, I'm not learning this. I got kicked out of Miss Adler's class just because I said, I'm not doing this today. She said, go have a walk. I wasn't doing this today, and I think that started the agitation of why aren't we being educated about who we are in our history? Why do I have to supplement my education when this is the education that, is supposed to be granted to me?
Well, you sent me a couple of things. You sent me your bio, of course, but you also sent me some information regarding some poetry you did. And,
yeah, so I called it, they called it poetry, but it was actually a monologue. It was written from an actual true story of a memoir of my true life experience. And it really talks about how we go on this journey of self-love and trying to find yourself, who you are. But at the same time, we become vulnerable to predators. We become vulnerable to things that we don't necessarily know are going to happen to us, but because you put it out there. I think a guy told me one time, I am a predator and you are my prey. And
why would they say that? Why would a guy say that to you?
Now, why would he admit it?
Well, why would he admit it?
Because that's the culture.
Because that's the culture. But at the time that this happened, this was happening at a time when I was dealing with a lot of abuse in my life. And so that's why I've taken on the champion of talking about what is what is abuse? What is sexual assault? How does that happen to people? When people say you're in a relationship and why don't you get out? Why did you get trapped in that? How did you get lured into, as I work with sex trafficking, human trafficking, how do students do that? How does that happen? And people say, oh, that's crazy. That never happened to me. Right. But when you have these vulnerabilities, and the more vulnerabilities you have that go unhealed, right, and unaddressed, you go into a cycle.
And like I said, predators know how to get their prey.
They do.
One of the most interesting things that I've seen as a parallel, my roommate had a tarantula. And his tarantula would sit in a bowl, and he would feed the tarantula crickets. And the crickets would get in the bowl with the tarantula. The tarantula would never move. And so the crickets would dance around, and the tarantula wouldn't move. They would jump on the tarantula's back. Tarantula wouldn't move. And the tarantula never chased the crickets. It would just sit there until they got calm enough to walk underneath the tarantula, and then it would snatch it.
Yeah.
Sorry. But that's how predators are. Predators don't come at you as a predator.
No.
They come at you with flowers. They come at you holding doors. They come at you with gifts and I got you. And then you realize, I got you.
Yeah.
So you have this fashion thing happening right here. You got a lot of words. I'm seeing Got To Stop, sex trafficking, sexual assault. This is actually dope. This is from your organization?
Yes, it's my conversation line.
It's a conversation piece.
Yeah, it's a conversation line. And so basically, Got To Stop, we raise awareness. So you wear this in the street, and a lot of times people go, you understand me. You can help me. And at that point, what we do is we get you with a vetted organization that can help you. Because we have to raise the awareness. You know, it's so funny. People talked about, oh, well, when you wear clothes like this and words like this, you re-traumatize victims. That's actually false. Actually, you're raising awareness and letting them know that you don't have to hide any longer.
You're not invisible.
You're not invisible. And also we get down to the root causes of child abuse, molestation, the things that happen at home. When we say what's in the home stays in the home, well, that's false. That's really ruined our community for so long because now you don't have help. You don't know where your allies are. And so if they don't know what's happening with you, what happens? Anything goes.
Touching inside of families. I mean, so many of our sisters, their first experience has been with an older family member.
Yes. And boys.
And like you said, don't say anything. Don't tell
go to Uncle Pete's house.
Don't spread our business, that kind of thing. So you grow up with this silent shame.
Yeah.
And then, and then like you said, you almost get like this aroma, like you put out a scent. That I'm somebody, I've been a victim, I should be victimized. Yeah.
It's trauma.
And you wear that trauma. You wear it.
You wear that trauma, and the more you've been traumatized, it's difficult for you to say, this is wrong, because you've normalized it.
How did you, because you have a lot of different, you have a diversity in your background.
Yes.
How did you combine your social activism with your fashion and your industry as an entrepreneur, as well as a social activist? How did you put those together?
I said to myself, how do you have this conversation? How do you raise this conversation and it be okay? It be safe, right? How do I say, look, this is what I'm about. This is what I want to stop, right? Because this is the trafficking line, but there's the classic line that says injustice, poverty, homelessness, right? And so we go on. And I said, if we're going to be about this, be awoke. I'm going to be conscious in this. I'm going to be conscious every time I walk down the street that this is not a movement, it's a lifestyle. And so I started creating active wear and lifestyle wear and shoes and boots and sneakers, and it just started growing and growing and growing. And I said, let me take this logo and these words and figure out how I can shape this in different ways and different perspectives of having the same conversation. So you might pick out one word and say, that's the word that resonates with me. That's how I met a lot of people in the community. Wow, I understand that.
That's dope.
So when we talk about human trafficking and sexual trafficking, some people say, well, that's not New York, that's California, or that's Mexico. Like, what? That's not real. Tell me a little bit about what's going on here in New York.
So New York, so think about this. There's like 10 billion people that have been trafficked all over the world globally. And then you have 100,000 people being trafficked in the United States. And you're talking about every day. You're talking about every day. You're talking about New York. At one point they were saying we were number 4 or number 5, but really we are really probably number 1. Number 1 is in New York, Atlanta, then Miami, then Texas. Wow. And why is that? Because we're a hub. Train, plane, automobile, boat.
Easy
you
access.
can get easy access. And we have a train system that's incredible, right? Amber Alerts work for cars. So what happens when you get on the subway? What happens when you're being trafficked in your apartment?
Wow.
Okay, so trafficking is not just going from state to state. That may be one aspect, but it could be just millions of men or perpetrators coming into your home, right? Because it's about the cash flow. It's about money.
So explain a little bit for the listening audience, what is trafficking?
So trafficking is when somebody is coerced you or put you into fraud into doing sexual acts for money. And so there's commercial sexual exploitation of children that you're talking about, where it's a money exchange. That's like, and then there's the third party, whether you have a pimp. Then there's people that are really selling sex. They're selling ads. They're saying have some dates. So it's about that coercion. It's about that fraud. It's about third party. I'm going to do this for money, and so therefore your freedom is taken, right? Because you are no longer an individual. You are property, right? You are trade.
Now, recently there was a case in Florida. The owner of the New England Patriots got caught in a sting, and everyone's like, it's a small thing. Explain to people why this is not a small thing.
Well, the Super Bowl historically has been the major human trafficking month push, because that is when people can gather from all over the world. They come to party, right? They come to enjoy themselves, and sex sells, right? We have to understand that sex has been a business going on for the longest, right? And you call it prostitution. The issue for me and a lot of people that are advocates of what we're working on is that when you start exploiting children, there's no consent.
Right.
When you start trapping children, coercing children, sex tortion with children, promising them false job ads, they go down there and you never see them again, okay? That's a problem, okay? Or they get with this boyfriend, this Romeo, right? I love you. I'm going to get you out of this situation. Think about our populations that are getting trapped in this. Very vulnerable, homeless youth, LGBTQ youth, right? You're talking about foster care children. And so this is all across the board. So if I can help you and you think someone can help you because something happened at home that you want to run away from, where are you going to go?
Right.
How's social media playing into this?
Social media,
reaching out to kids through social media.
That's the biggest. Right now, it's to me, it's just like totally catapulted the entire issue, right? Because at this point, it's saying, I can get you through social media. I can watch what you're posting. I can see your vulnerabilities. I can see when you didn't get that like. I can DM you, get to know you.
Preying on you,
and I can groom you.
And then send you a ticket, come meet me.
Hey, why not?
Right.
I see you have a passion for this. Where did this drive come from?
All right, so you want to know the truth? Truth. So let's go to truth. My uncles were pimps. They had a brothel in Harlem. That little pretty brownstone.
You did say colorful.
I did say very colorful. And I didn't even know what it was until I asked. I said, what do you all do for a living, right? Because it's like your aunts. They said, we're secretaries. But they were going out at night, 9 o'clock, 8 p.m. Didn't come home till the next day, 9 o'clock a.m. And seeing this traffic in and out of my grandma's brownstone sitting on the stoop, I was curious. And so at some point, my uncles kind of just broke it down, kind of said what they were doing, but I didn't understand. But I started understanding. I saw black eyes. I saw broken arms. I saw using people that had other insecurities. Like say one of my aunts, she was a kleptomaniac. He used that. She's a booster. So basically she's going to shop or drop, right? Or she's going to literally shop and recruit others, or you're going to be laying on your back. So I didn't really get all that information until it started coming full circle with people that were getting trafficked. And I was like, wait, what is this? And then I went to my aunt. My uncles are all dead. That brownstone blew up in Harlem, 1990. He fell on his crack pipe. That's real. That's real. Okay? That's real. I was almost attacked at 14 on the brownstone stoop. That's real. Didn't know why I was attacked. And I remember my uncle coming around the corner and saying, no, that's my niece. That's my niece.
Wow.
Why do you have to clarify that? So I started asking questions. I saw some things, and I had to go back and ask. I had to ask some tough questions to my mom, right? To understand what was this, how did she see it? Were we enabling it? What were we doing, right? And somebody said to me recently, your uncles, they were some charming dudes, very charming. They're very convincing. And they were very smart, and they were all educated. So this was about money.
Yeah.
This wasn't about
They said it's big business.
This wasn't about I didn't
Morality,
have anything else to do, right? And some people, it is about I don't have anything else to do. If they get into trafficking through a gang situation, they're made to do this.
Yep.
They've got to make that money. And guess what? I can be less detectable for something illegal if I'm having a girl in my car. A girl in my car doesn't mean anything. You're not gonna pull me up for a girl. You'll pull me up for drugs, but you're gonna pull me over for a girl. So think about how it can be disguised, right, in so many different forms. And, coming to grips with being a part of that world. Was I enabling it? I feel like I'm avenging something. I'm trying to heal something because it was wrong. I'm able to say it's wrong. It was wrong. And what the aftermath of that impact of that lifestyle is that people don't know who their fathers are.
So your response to how you grew up, understanding that injustice has to be done, do you somehow internally, are you righting some wrongs of your family, or are you just looking to say this is just not right and I'm not trying to live this way?
I mean, I
want others to do.
I would hope that I'm righting some wrongs, but that's something that they have to bear, right? But what I can say is, not again, gotta stop. I can say that. We can stop it now.
So with Gotta Stop,
can I just elaborate on that? So your organization itself, when you are dealing with your righting the wrongs, how are you addressing the issues? Are you working with young women? Are you going into young women themselves? I mean, how is that outreach or recruitment? Rather, how's the outreach or the escapee process?
So basically, once I started learning about trafficking and getting understanding, I did a march when I was chief of staff of Black Lives Matter of Greater New York, and I did a Find Our Girls march, and it was very successful.
Yeah.
Right?
You had blue hair then,
right? Yeah, but I wanted to endpoint. I wanted to deal with intervention and prevention. I wanted to say, who can I partner with that's going to say, how can we write this and get this in the curriculum, get this in the schools? So then I said, let me start my own thing. I need to have some endpoint, an end game, and I did. And so with an end game, now I'm consulting with a company called Unitas NGO. I love them so much. They're out of Serbia, but they've been in the United States for about 5 years now. And they are really ahead of the game with intervention and prevention. So now they're here in New York. I'm with them. I'm on a curriculum writing team. I'm an engagement strategist. So it's about how do we reach the students. And so right now we've been piloting the curriculum in different states. Okay, Miami. We are in Detroit, right? The major states. And we're in New York. We just piloted something in Queens. And so we are now going to be working with the DOE here to talk about putting that curriculum, training teachers, getting people on the ground, your counselors, your social workers. I work with a trauma psychologist. I work with licensed social workers. I'm not a social worker. Right. I'm a connector.
Does the DOE see this as a priority?
They do. They do. It's more prevalent now. It's more because we have a whole immigration issue going on right now, and some of our students are reporting where they're being coerced or sextortion, and they don't want to tell because they're afraid that they're going to get deported. And so we've had to deal with some things individually, and it's now becoming a collective thing. When you see kids leaning and sleeping in the classroom, you're seeing kids getting to school late, they're disoriented because they don't know how they got to school from this address to this address. There's a lot going on. And so we have to be in tune. We have to be trauma informed. We also have to be sensitive. We have to be empathetic because again, they're the voiceless.
Right. How does a person break the cycle? Like you said, you grew up almost with a cycle. How does somebody turn that corner?
I think breaking the cycle comes with an incredible amount of courage to speak and to find that ally that's going to listen. And that can take years. It also comes with an incredible amount of understanding and awareness that it's not your fault.
So is that where you're trying to position yourself, that ear, that empathetic ear, that advocate, that somebody can say, here's somewhere I can go? Is that kind of how you're trying to position yourself?
Yeah, I'm listening, I'm open, and I want to find you some help. That's why this whole Got to Stop Trafficking walk, human trafficking walk, is happening April 6th, Saturday. And so April 5th will be a press conference and a rally at the steps of City Hall. I have partnered with the National Panhellenic Council of New York City, which is comprised of 9 Black Greek-lettered organizations, collegiate organizations, getting them on board because, one, I knew that we needed some strong male allies. And we know we needed that. We have programs in communities, but are we addressing these things? Are we missing this? And we did trainings to get them on board. So we're educating as well as advocating and reaching, teaching in the streets.
So speaking of male role models and their part in all this, how is that connection? How is that training occurring when you're trying to get, it's easy for, I guess, women to be more empathetic, but how's that empathetic process going with the males that you have to deal with to support this movement?
So once males understand the music, even when you think about the rap music and listening to the lyrics, the music, and go, how is that connected? Oh, I just thought they were talking about this. Or, oh, well, pimps and hoes, that's something that, it's like what we do. We've kind of looked at that with the Black exploitation films. But let's go inside of that. Let's go inside of that. And my question always is, if the male had a job, an opportunity, would he choose that? Exactly. Just tell me, would he choose it? Males have to educate males. Once a male understands and dives deep, and a lot of our males dive deep. My social action chair, Neil Zephyrin, he is amazing. He dives deep, he digs deep, and he reaches out to his male counterparts and says, man, we need to be a part of that. Kevin Bracey's the president of Harlem Sigmas. Again, diving deep. You have to reach one, teach one. They dive deep, and when that happens, they start to educate someone else. So it's how the education becomes a cycle, right? A different cycle.
How do I ask the question correctly? Because thank you, first of all, for reminding us that young males are exploited and trafficked also.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The recognition of it, does it look different in a young male than in a young lady?
I'm going to say probably not.
I mean, does the young boy become violent? Like,
I think that there's some places where you have to go back to the studies. There's like only one person I know that does work with boys. His name is Steve, and he's in Boston. He's like the first person that's really done a lot of work, and he's on my curriculum team with boys. One, we have misnomers. People think it's the LGBTQ youth that are being trafficked, and it's not necessarily you have to be gay or LGBTQ.
Right.
It's vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's what they look at what you need is what they offer. Okay,
let me ask you this one question, because you just something that struck. When a young boy is exploited, what impact does that have on his sexual development? Does he now grow up thinking, well, maybe I am because a male touched me? How does that help their sexual?
It may not be males touching males.
Right.
It could be females.
I'm just asking,
right?
does that impact their?
Oh, well, there's an
their
interview I
development?
have.
But you're right. It can be. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
there's an
sorry.
interview I have on IG with a young man who saw me at the post office on 125th Street. I had on another thing, my other Got To Stop clothing, my lifestyle brand, and he said, wow, I know about that. And he pointed at sex trafficking. We had a long talk. The next day, I brought my social work team out, and we had more talks to get him connected. This man was sexually abused by a female and male. They were brother and sister babysitting him. And he said that he had a lot of trouble trying to figure out what his sexuality was for so long. But he became a womanizer. He went to jail for 25 years.
Wow.
Now he is a doorman and says, I'm a doorman, but every day it's a decision.
Wow.
Every day is a decision for
Of
him
what?
to go back into that life. It's very easy. He can get a girl. He can get someone to do something. Traffic anything, right? It doesn't have to just be your body. It could be drugs, right? It could be guns, whatever. He knows how to do it. And he did say it started there for him. So yes, it has a deep impact, a profound impact. Some men will not talk about it. Some men are shamed by it. But for him, he had to free himself and say, this happened to me. Because that was the first step. This happened to me. And it started to impact how I think about the world, what I've normalized as okay. And also where you want to get your power and control back. Remember, his abuse started, his predatorial abuse starts where his abuse ended. So if you're abused until 14, at 14, that's when you want your power back. So he did have a tendency to solicit younger girls.
And his had to be a little different because his was people that he was entrusted to.
Yes.
These weren't strangers. These
Yeah,
people
these
were
were-
supposed to care for you.
Yeah.
And
It
so how are you going to
happens
tell
most
your
of the time.
family, how are you going
That's
to tell your family this happened to me without you feeling that you're going to not be trusted? And people are going to say something to you and then being shamed.
Right.
Right? We're talking about a male and a female tag team. They were brother and sister.
That's sad.
Yes.
So you're so let's talk about a little bit more uplifting as far as what. Gosh, this is like.
But it's amazing
You start thinking
stuff,
about
though.
you start thinking about like, wow, what was going on? When you were growing up, right? And how you overcome that. A lot of us have walked into those doorways and not know what it was, and we were able to close it, or we had attentive parents or attentive relatives that would say, no, let's stop. But like, what else are you doing along with this? You do shows, you have a fashion line. How can we support your efforts?
So supporting my efforts, really, I say, because social impact is really important. I don't get a grant. I don't want government funding. I want to be able to walk in any door I want to, and I want to help as many people as I can, given what I have in my budget. Okay?
Right.
And social impact is about I'm selling my brand, that's the money that goes into bringing about events. That's the thing that I partner with. So I'm doing a partnership with Ruby's Vintage, Community Board 10, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and we are going to be doing an honorary social justice award show for women, honorees. So we're honoring people in the community, one of which will be Cicely Tyson. So again, trying to find places where we can still empower.
What date is that?
That's
kind of important.
It's kind of important, but it's kind of invite only. So
is that what it is?
It's invite only.
So I didn't want to event. Okay, don't go deep. Okay.
So there's events that I like to be behind and to back because I think that's where we start continuing that community legacy of thanking people.
Sure.
Right? And showing humility and honor because we don't do enough of that.
That's right.
Right? And so I also mentor on weekends. I'm going to go head up to mentoring right after this. So I mentor girls. So I want to be out there. I am out there. But everything that I do, if a young person says, I need help finding a job, that's what I'm going to do. If someone says, hey, you know what? I have a problem with my landlord. I'm going to start talking to your local leaders. I will call community board president and say, this is what's happening in this apartment. That's what I do. Person gets shot and killed. I'm still about that life of Black Lives Do Matter. Okay?
So how can we purchase your fashion line?
It's all online, www.gottostop.org, spelt grammatically correct. GOTTOSTOP.org. It's online. I've did my show at the Apollo last week, but I also vended last week, which started the conversations of what is Got to Stop and how do we help. I have people on my board of directors that really want to come on board and say, look, I have this service to provide. I have job opportunities for youth, and that's important because if someone says I need a job, I want to be able to connect you. I need an internship. I want to connect you right now. Social impact is right now, not waiting for that application, not going through, I got to only pick 25 kids that fit this criteria. You came to me, let's get it done.
Talk a little bit more about that, how to advocate. Because you said you just jump in, whatever somebody needs, you start making the calls, reaching out. How do people learn how to advocate for themselves, to fight for the things, their rent rights, their whatever? How do people learn how to advocate?
They have to see it's possible. See, it's hard to help somebody that doesn't feel like they can get the help because they will block it. There's a sabotage. It's like, oh, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But what you have to do is you got to create success stories. You have to show them that it's a process and it's a journey to change, right? It's not necessarily tomorrow. Right? But we got to start this conversation. And so here I am walking you through the steps. You might get tired, but I can still throw the baton to you. And you can say, well, I can do that next leg. So it's not me by myself. This is me in a concert of people and supporters that have connections, resources, and just need to know, what do you need? I got that. Right. So I let people work in their strength. I'm not asking you to cook me a soul food meal for 3,000 people. That's not your gift. But those that I know that can cook and we got to get some meals done, guess what? I'm calling the best chefs, right? The best cooks, with those food handlers license, okay? Let's be clear, right? No liability issues.
Right, legit, right? Above board.
Above board. And I'm going to say, let's get it done.
If someone wanted to reach out and they needed help, how do they go about it?
Text me.
So for the listening audience, tell us how do they do that?
917-405-6816.
You're not going to give your number.
Oh, yes, I do.
Say it again.
Because
your number.
It's my business. This is my business number. 917-405-6816. You text me. You text and say, this is who I am. This is what I do. Yeah, I'm going to vet you. I'm not crazy. Okay? We don't walk. We walk with a sense of trust, but we walk with some type of due diligence and caution about us.
Right.
So there's some people protecting me. Don't worry about me. What I need you to worry about is get the right help.
Say the number again.
917-405-6816. 917-405-6816. Hit me up. I'm a human being. I want to reach human beings. The minute that you do not become a human being that needs to be healed, I'm going to get you some help.
So your zest and enthusiasm and passion around this can sometimes, I'm sure everybody is not feeling the same way about you around your issues, and your mindset has really been to change people's focus. I don't want to go into the many challenges, but what type of challenges did you see yourself going through when you were trying to get people on board to address this issue, to bring attention to it?
A lot of challenges. One, why are you in this work? Are you a survivor? Right? You don't know anything about this work. Oh, you're not a social worker. You don't have, what are you doing? How do you know you're doing the right thing? Clothing, that sounds crazy. A lot of words in your clothes. What's that about? Oh, that could be traumatizing and triggering people. You're not being sensitive, right? And I say, look, you have your way. I have mine. Our people don't need gatekeepers. Okay? We need people to get on board, roll up your sleeve, and do the work. Mm-hmm. If we come to the end of eradicating it, stopping it, any way possible, that's what we're going to do with any issue we're talking about.
That's right.
With any issue. My issue is about what are you doing? What are you doing? And how do the people feel about what you're doing? That's important. Because if you don't get feedback from the people, you don't have anything.
That's right.
I'm not a movement, I'm a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle that you have to live. And so basically what I say to people is, what is your impact story? And your impact story has to be from the people. Not about your statistics, how much money you raised, how many photo shoots you got, how many ops you got, how many appearances you made. What did you do for the people?
Mm-hmm. So how do you, there's a lot of organizations I know that do different things, fighting injustice, righting wrongs, and even in this area. How do you measure success, or how do you know you're doing something right? What is your metrics, if you will, to know that you've accomplished something?
My metrics are going to be, one, that there is a curriculum in place in school. We start to educate our educators who are on the front line every day. They are with our students every day.
So mandated reporters should understand.
Mandated reporters need to understand that sex trafficking is just as big as child abuse. When we say Child Abuse Month is April, this is child abuse. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Okay, it's all connected to child abuse. People say, well, why child abuse? Because it's Child Abuse and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And it's April, and who thinks about the children? I ask kids, did you know it was National Child Abuse Awareness Month in April? No, never heard of it. Why is that? We think about the Easter Bunny and hopping around. But do you understand this is the biggest trafficking season you have? Spring break, unsupervised children. Mm-hmm. We're going on vacation now. Watch your children. Watch that social media. Know those passcodes. Change them up right now. Mm-hmm. It's time to understand people are making plans for your children. Okay, so now is the time. So that is when I'm going to know success. When I don't get a phone call that someone's missing and can you help me? Because that's another thing. We guide you through the steps about what do I say to law enforcement? How do I get them to look for my child and not say that they're a runaway? They may have ran away from something in your home.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so you deal with parents too? Parents
too. Parents will call me. Someone will say, oh, wait, talk to her. Inbox me. Bam, what's going on? Let's figure out where are you and go through the steps. And we've been very successful and getting their kids back.
Wow.
And they can speak to that. And sometimes that's when the work begins. That's when the trauma psychology has to come in. That's when the services have to come in. Mm-hmm. That's when I talk to people that do services and say, these are the best services for them. Right? And they start to talk because that's their confidentiality. I step out when they start to get the right help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right, you're just connecting.
I'm connecting. I'm a connector.
That's what's up. Okay, so any more questions?
I'm blown away.
I could tell.
Oh, thanks.
You want to say hi?
I mean, not many people have that kind of passion.
Right.
And,
combined with the expertise, though.
Right. And worrying about the backlash because I know you're going to get it or have gotten it.
But you know what? Look, I'm leading a legacy. You're either going to be with me or you're going to just get out of my way. This is how it's going to have to go. Because we people are dying in the streets. We don't have time. We don't have time. Like I said, we don't have time.
When you say backlash, what are you referring to?
Could be political.
I'm not political. I'm not non-for-profit. You don't need to come for my books. I pay my taxes.
Well, even if you're non-for-profit, if you become successful at what you're doing, sometimes the powers that be would have their way to counterattack, put a bad name on what you're trying to do, even though it's positive.
He's speaking from experience.
Well, guess what? It's happened. It's already happened. I already had someone say they're not coming to something if I'm on there. Don't even know me.
Oh, I get that all the time.
Don't even know me.
Right.
You don't know me. You heard of me. You don't know me. I don't know where that came from, but guess what? I'm still here.
That's right.
And so until the man upstairs, the creator, whomever she or he is, says it's over,
right,
I'm gonna keep going. That's what it is. Because right now if you get hate for something good, then you must be doing something right.
That's exactly right. That's exactly.
You must be doing something right. And that something right is going to get you built up to not say remove the mountain. I'm going to climb the mountain. It's time to climb them.
And you should also be encouraged when you get attacked, because that means you're doing something really right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And
when they come for you, that means you're a problem,
That
and
means
that's the kind of problem you want to be. You're impactful when people start coming for you.
And it's okay to get the feedback, because the feedback makes you strong. When someone says, I don't like your logo, oh, can you put it in black? I'm fine with feedback. Feedback is important because you're serving the people. So if you're serving the people, then the feedback has to be a gift.
Well, I just want to ask, are the earrings part of your fashion design?
No.
Listen,
I
love the earrings. I'm like, oh my God. Is that on the fashion website?
No, but the woman in Harlem, I'm telling you, she blesses me. And I told her we're going to work together. Said, every time I wear your outfits, I always wear your earrings. I don't know her name. She's right on the corner. Now, I got to give you the corner.
No, that's how we do too.
Where's she at?
Which
corner? Because we hit the vendors.
That's how we wear too.
So let me give you the corner. The corner is Lenox and 125th, right across from Starbucks, but going down.
Okay.
And so she's right there. If it's too cold, she's not there. And then ask her to go in her little private stash.
Okay.
Right? Because I like metal. I like wood and metal. I like the two combinations. So it's about, she also will design something for you, but she loves what I wear. So she's like, oh, yeah. I got something for you.
That's what happens.
I love her.
Yeah, learn her name, though.
Shout out to all the vendors.
That's fine.
Yeah, we just say
that's
sister.
fine. But let me tell you, that's how before GPSs, that's all we knew.
That's
right.
right.
120.
I will get to know her name today. If I see her,
no,
I'm gonna
sister is fine. The sister, because I'm sure people will go by and say, "Listen, we heard about you."
Where's the private stuff?
Did not know about OnPoint Experience. Thank you so much for coming on, because you
you
have enlightened more people
Yes.
to come on the show.
Thank you.
You know, sometimes people just come on, they don't say nothing, they don't tell nobody they're coming on, whatever. I swear, I got so many emails and texts for you coming on, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
For expanding our listening audience.
Thank you so much.
Sometimes people use the platform for them, but they don't understand the benefits of it when both people expend from it.
Right.
So, Erika, you are an inspiration. I mean, just listening to you. And you don't know, I'm one of the people she texts, I need this right now. I'm like, all right.
Your resource.
I'll see. She connects me too. So, and the work that you've done in this has taken it to the next level.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank you so much for the work that you do. We're always proud of people that take a stand. You know, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And you are just exuding that every day.
Thank you.
So, Erika Lucille Ewing, who comes out of the brownstone, sitting on the stoop in Harlem that saw so many colorful things. And
don't forget the Long Island background, too. Amityville and Westbury in the building right now. Don't leave Long Island out of this.
The Green Dragon.
And 7 months being in Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
But again,
Christmas Day. Born Christmas Day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So tell us again, before we close out again, if somebody wants to reach you, how do they reach you?
So you can text me, 917-405-6816, Erika, ERIKA with a K, at gottostop.org, ERIKA at gottostop.org, spelled grammatically correct.
Both T's, everybody.
Right.
Okay. So thank you again. Excellent interview.
Yes.
We'll use it. Hopefully you'll use it. And we'll see you next time. We'll be keeping track of you. No pun intended. We'll be making sure that, you know,
I'm humbled.
whatever
Thank
we
you.
can do to help, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Queen Dream, take us out.